This is a tiny Leica lens here, ultra tiny. And it might be the smartest buy that you can make today because it's compact, sharp, renders beautiful portraits, and guess what? It is so good that it was killing the SUMMICRON 50mm f2 lineup. So Leica had to ban this lens. They stopped producing it because it was too good for the size and especially price. So in this video I want to share with you my long time experience using this lens, pictures, and what I've discovered using this lens, and why I do understand that Leica stopped making it and why you might want to get it. So let's talk about this now. Hi there, Tudor Matescu here. In this video I want to share with you my journey regarding the tiny little lens that I have here. Look how tiny it is. And it has a nice metal square hood that Leica made but stopped making it because I've said it was too good to be true for money, price, size, and results. So the name of this lens, it is the 50mm f2.5 Summarit lens. So when deciding to get a Leica lens, I was searching, of course, for different Leica lenses, and of course I wanted a 50mm lens because the frame lines of Leica and especially of this Leica are going excellent with a 50mm lens, and I'm a big fan of Bresson that shoot a 50mm lens. So of course if I would have need a Leica lens, that lens should have been a 50mm lens. So searching online, of course, I've discovered that the best rendering for my liking, it is the SUMMICRON 50mm f2. A lens that was pretty hard to find, but also more expensive than this lens at the time when buying these lenses. So anyway, in the meantime, I've discovered this lens. No one praised it. They all complain that it's just an f2.4 lens and why not get the 50mm f2 SUMMICRON and so on. So they also stated that the lens is sharp, too modernly sharp and stuff like this. But I was looking at the pictures and the pictures was speaking to me. They were showing me the Leica bite, the Leica 3D rendering, and all what this lens have in it. So when looking at those pictures and also at the pictures of the 50mm f2 SUMMICRON version 4, this was more attractive to me, and for another reason, because it is newer, it has a focusing tab, and I really like the blend, I would say, from modern rendering but also from that magic Leica vintage rendering. So it's not too vintage, but also I would not call it at all modern rendering. It has the magic in it. It has the magic in it. So in the end, I've decided to pull the trigger when I've discovered a very good offer on eBay. I've made a video about my adventure with this lens, and regarding my order on eBay, you can check it at the end of this video because it was an adventure. But after buying this lens, repairing it, service it, I've used it more and more on my Leica MP240 and the results are stunning. Also the experience in using this lens. So let's start first with the build quality of this lens. So what you could expect from this lens, it is fully metal built, it is ultra light, I would say, ultra light, ultra small. It has aperture clicks, but they are pretty different from other aperture clicks that I have on Voigtlander, so you can change easily the aperture, and the aperture clicks have a distinctive sound. So, very interesting. This is one of my first Leica lenses. I don't know if other Leica lenses are functioning the same, but it's easy to change the aperture. Also, it's easy to bump the aperture, but what I really like is the fact that at the end of the aperture clicks, so at f2.4 or at f16, you hear a specific sound. So it's very clear for you where you are. So very nice tactile feeling. Also, it has a metal squared lens hood that I really love a lot. That is screwing perfectly. This is the first square lens hood I've used as a square lens hood for my Fujifilm cameras, but this square lens hood, it is screwing perfect on the lens barrel. So look how it looks without the squared lens hood. It is so small, ultra small, ultra small, crazy small. Boom. So overall, I'm very pleased with the build quality, and also I would add that the lens has a metal lens cap, so metal lens cap with Leica light on it, and also it has a focusing tab. This was another big reason why I've decided to get this lens, because of the focusing tab. This is why I like to shoot Leica M mount lenses and void lantern lenses. Focusing tab. It is very nice to shoot a lens with a focusing tab. Again, very nice. You know where you are. You can focus with your eye closed. You can pre-focus. Now, let's talk about handling and how this lens is acting on Leica MP240. So this is where Leica is shining a lot for me. I really love this philosophy of a camera that has a heft to it, but it's pretty compact, and the lenses are ultra compact and small, and the balancing in hand, it is crazy good. So I'm really loving a body like this and with a lens like this. So it is very easy for me to take the camera, to enjoy the camera. I'm really liking this compatibility between size, weight and handling. It's very hard to find this great handling and design on other cameras. You can find them, I'm not saying you can't, but on Leica I have many other lenses that are compatible regarding size, weight and handling. So I don't have oversized lenses. And also the lenses are ultra small, and how I've said, they are delivering great image quality, how I will show you at image quality. Now another thing to add regarding handling, it's the focusing tab again, that it's very fast. So it's very easy and fast to focus this lens with the focusing tab. If I'm looking at my other lenses with f1.5 aperture, I have a longer focusing throw. This is not too long, but not too short. It is really perfect. So perfect focus throw and perfect speed, perfect damping. And this makes sense because we are not talking about an f1.4 lens. We are talking about an f2.4 lens that, from my point of view, it's rendering for portraits as an f1.8, at least when you nail the portrait. I will show you the bokeh. I'm referring at the bokeh. The bokeh, crazy good, how I will show you at the image quality part. Now, another thing to address, it is the minimum focus distance. The minimum focus distance for this lens, it is 0.8 meters. So 80 centimeters and not 70 centimeters. But in real world use, it's not a deal breaker, especially if you are shooting a Leica camera using the rangefinder and the optical viewfinder. But if you adapt the lens and you are accustomed to get close using the screen with Nikon ZF, Sony cameras and so on, of course you'll feel the minimum focus distance. But when you shoot with your eye using the optical viewfinder and the rangefinder system, no problems. Now let's talk about the image quality of this lens. Well, this is where the things start to shine. I do feel that this is one of my best 50mm lenses and one of my best versatility lenses, I would say, regarding image quality, size and handling. Because at image quality, the image quality is mind-blowing at any aperture, I would say. So at any aperture, you'll have lots of magic there, lots of details there, excellent subject to background separation at f2.4, excellent pop, excellent 3D pop, and excellent bokeh. So I was thinking in my head, you get just an f2.4 lens. You've used f2.4, f2.5 lenses on Sony full frame camera. They aren't delivering. You need at least f2. This was going into my head. But for my amazing, it's not the same deal. It's not the same deal. f2.4 on this lens, from my point of view, it's rendering bokeh as an f1.4 lens. So, as I'm showing on this portrait, you have such a smooth bokeh, extraordinary smooth bokeh, while the face, it's sharp, it is in focus, and it's a pleasing sharp. It's not a digital sharp. So anyway, the way that this lens is rendering portraits at f2.4, for me it's ultra satisfying. I would say that it's equivalent, at least how I've said, with Sony lenses at f1.8, f2, and other lenses, magic lenses that I've used in my life. But it has more to it. It really has more to it. The bokeh, it is ultra smooth, plus adding the 3D pop of your subject. So a great portraiture lens, even if you think that you need for a portrait an f1.4 lens. You don't need an f1.4 lens for a portrait. A nice good looking portrait, it has all the face in focus, so you may shoot the lens at f4, why not? And anyway, how I've said, if you want a shallower depth of field, f2.4, so no problem regarding portraits and subject to background separation for people, for humanistic photography, but also for different objects where you want to isolate the objects. So at f2.4 you can isolate those objects and those faces, you'll make them pop, you'll have the 3D pop, you'll have everything you could want, and you can't imagine how good it is. I'm telling you, it is popping like crazy, it is sharp like crazy, and it has a magic rendering to it. So really in totally love with this lens at f2.4. Now, how this lens is at f4, f8, f11, f16. It is crazy good. You have micro contrast all over the place. When I'm shooting an entire scene with f11, f8 and so on, all it's popping. You feel the micro contrast, you feel the details. You have very nice details. You have very nice sharpness. You have there lots of micro contrast all over the image. The image, it is a 3D-like looking image from my point of view regarding JPEGs, but also RAW files. When you want to edit, of course, the RAW files, but you have such good JPEGs in this camera, MP240, that I don't find any reason to edit a RAW file just to play for myself. But if you are shooting RAW, of course, you have there all that you need. So overall, regarding image quality, this lens, it is 10 out of 10, having in mind again that you have just an f2.4 aperture, but with the added bonus that this glass and aperture blades, you have 9 aperture blades, will render very smooth bokeh and amazing 3D pop all over your image. Again, it doesn't matter the aperture. You have there what you need. Now, regarding colors, yes, you don't have that yellowish vintage colors. You have a modern, well-balanced palette, I would say, regarding the rendering of the color. So I think it's a perfect blend between magic vintage rendering and modern, nice looking and also pleasing rendering. So I'm totally in love with this lens regarding rendering, and I also want to add a little about the contrast. It's a very contrasty lens, a very saturated lens, and in a good way. You still have good tonalities in black and white, so you'll not lose details in the black and white and also in the highlights. The highlights are not burning. They have that Leica, I don't know how to call it, smoothness in the highlights. So crazy good lens regarding image quality. Really, it has no comparison when I'm thinking at my modern lenses and also other lenses that I've used. Now, for who is this lens? So if you bought a Leica and you want a great 50mm lens and you are thinking that you need an f2 lens, SUMMICRON, I would say not. You don't need that lens. Of course, you may want it. I'm not saying not. But if you're on a budget and want a great lens, have in mind that this lens, it's a stellar lens. So my combo and what I do recommend is get this lens, f2.4 lens, and get an f1.4, f1.5 lens, another 50. Because f2, again, f2 for low light, of course it's working, but also f2.4 with a modern Leica body, it will work very well. Regarding low light shooting, I didn't have any problems with this lens regarding low light shooting, but because I have an f1.4 lens that I love, TT Artisan 50mm f1.4, and also I have the Jupiter 50mm f1.5 in ultra low light, so by night photography, I've shot those lenses. Other than that, this lens it's great for documentary photography, for street photography, for day-to-day photography. For photography when you want to make composition. So this lens will really transpose you, I would say, in the Bresson state, where you have some distance to your subject, you have some distance to your scene, and because you are using a Leica and a 50mm lens, it will really help you think about composition, make the composition, and then take the shot. But also it has the great advantage that if you want to make portraits with this lens, it will totally shine. So for portraiture work with this lens, you will not feel the fact that you don't have an f2 aperture or an f1.4 aperture. I'm not feeling that constraint. The lens it's popping like crazy. I don't know if I am not liking even more that look, again, because I've told you, for portraiture work, when you want to have a nice portrait in focus, you really need to close the aperture. And the bokeh, it is ultra buttery smooth, and the 3D pop, it's there. Now, let's talk about the prices, because when looking online, you can find different prices, and you could say, why not add more and get 50mm f2 SUMMICRON? Of course, you can do this, but maybe that lens, because it is older, the V4 version, I'm thinking, you'll need to service it. So anyway, I've got a good deal with it, around $500 or euros, something like this, plus repair and service, how I've told you, and I'm pretty satisfied now looking at the price of this lens. But would I buy it now thinking that for a SUMMICRON version 4, let's say, I would have to pay $500 more? So I really don't know. It really depends on you. For me, my personal need, it is an f1.4 lens and a compact everyday 50mm lens. And I really do love a lot the rendering of this lens, and I do feel that I love more the image quality that I get from this lens. So again, even today, I would make the same combo. So I would buy the 50mm f2.4 plus I would add a 50mm f1.4 Zoomilux lens or Voigtlander lens or TT Artisan lens. The only disadvantage of the TT Artisan 50mm f1.4 lens is the fact that it has a little weight to it. Other than that, a stellar lens. So overall, this is why Leica stopped making this lens. It is so good, and especially I would say that the competitor of this lens is not the SUMMICRON 50mm f2 version 4, but the latest SUMMICRON 50mm f2, the modern one that doesn't have a focusing tab. So this why I've chose this focusing tab, modern-like image like the 50mm f2 SUMMICRON lens, the modern one, plus adding the magic that this lens is rendering for portraits at f2.4. Boom! So there you have it. Now, if you are liking content like this, please check the next video about my experience with Leica MP240 and the lenses. Also, subscribe to my newsletter, subscribe to my YouTube channel, leave me your comments, share my videos, and use my affiliate links if you want to support my work from the comments and description. Thank you, and I will talk to you soon. Bye bye.